Hey everyone, I wanted to leave you a video because I just made one for a group that I'm in, and it was about how to discern between messages that are from a place of fear and ego and then messages that are from a place of spirit or source. And I thought it was important, so I wanted to make one for you all. So what I was saying to the group is that in my opinion, the best way, the only way that you can really start to decipher what messages are from a place of, like universal consciousness, spirit, source, and what messages are from a place of like old patterns, triggers, fear, grief, mania, is to cultivate a certain amount of witness capacity. And witness capacity is the ability to be able to see oneself as a witness, or the ability to be able to be witness to one's own experience. It's like being able to take off our mask, turn it around, look it in the face, and have a conversation with it, right? There's a goddess called Chinnamasta, and Chinnamasta actually removes her own head, she spins it around, she looks at it straight in the face, so she can start to become a witness to her own self, right? Because when we always have our mask on, the cycle of grief, ego, fear, contraction can be very pervasive. And ego structure is super important. Like, we have to have ego structure. It's part of who we are. We'd be a puddle on the ground if we didn't have an ego structure. But there's a difference between having an ego structure and then having an ego system, right? So like, we have to have the structure on which to build the house. But when the house is filled with it, then it overruns it, and it starts running the show. So from that place, then old patterns, triggers, fear, cycles of grief, they can be mistaken for, our messaging, our messages, our own language, like our own sense of knowing. And on the path that I've been on and the journey that I've taken for my own self around this process of diving and digging deep into a place of knowing and of our own language and of peace and contentment and health, is this idea of embodiment. Well, I mean, I don't know that it's such a lofty idea nowadays, but I think it's a lofty endeavor, right? It is the process of coming out of this area that runs the show, especially in our Western culture, our brain, all the masculine endeavors. And when I say masculine, I don't mean male. And into a more heart-centered space and pace, and into a more soul-centered pace and space. And one of the ways that we can do that is through the breath, is through bringing the energy, or the prana, our breath, from up here, right, down here into our bellies, into the area where our language is actually more primal. Our language is then more connected, or fully connected, to spirit, to source, to the divine. So becoming a witness to your own experience is so important. And the way in is through deep embodiment. And then deciphering your own language. Deciphering your own language so that you can start to decipher the languages that are out there, because there's a lot of languages out there, and there's a lot of input out there. And don't you want to be someone who can decipher what you want to take in and what you don't want to take in. And then from there, the beauty is that you can begin to decipher when the divine, when spirit, source, universal consciousness is speaking to you, and when it's the patterning, right? Like, or the stories, or fear, or ego, or a cycle of grief. The divine can only exist in a place of breath, in a place of expansion. Those stories, those gods and those goddesses, they only thrive. They only have entryway via breath, via your body. They're not as cerebral as we've maybe thought. So that's it. That's my jam for today. Leave me a message. I'd love that. And I'm hoping to put out a lot more videos, just short ones. So more to come. Have a beautiful day. Bye.